Now, once you master the breaker structure and balance trading strategy, you will then have a full working strategy that you can start applying into the markets. Now, we've already been through that directional bias with using those imbalance zones, and we've been through those bad zones that you need to be avoiding. And we've also gone through that pre-imbalance zone. But today we're going to look at that breaker structure and how we can use that with the imbalances. Let's look at where we can see price coming down, making that reversal. So let's go on to a replay mode here. Let's just make it from this low. Okay, so I want to go through the price action for reading the breaker structure, okay, with those imbalances. Now, if you want to understand a lot more on the breaker structure, the use of breaker structure or market structure in general, then you should check out this playlist, go through all those videos that are going to help you massively to figure out that market structure in trading. We'll go through some of that briefly in today's video as well. But we can see here, look, the market has come down. In fact, let's just zoom out first. Let me just show you the understanding of quickly of market structure. We can identify here that we have these swings here to the downside. This is what we class as swings in the market, which is our swing structure. We have internal structure here as well, but we also have swing structure. Today we'll look at more the internal structure with the use of the breaker structure and the imbalance zone. You need to understand that we have this swing structure. So for a true reversal, what we need to see is this high here removed. Okay, so we already know that we have a potential high here. We go close in. We could then look at the areas of imbalance left over. Okay, so we have an area of imbalance left over right here in the market. And then we also have what we class as the last buy to sell move area of supply. So let's mark it out as a zone. Okay, so I'm not going to mark these right across. In fact, we'll just leave them there for now because of that level. We know where this level is. So we have, again, the area of supply, okay, the imbalance zone of this swing high. So we have this is a swing high which broke structure to downside. This is now a potential pullback to what we class a strong high. Again, you'll learn more of this inside that playlist when we look at market structure. So let's now look at price down below. So reading those breaker structure with the imbalance zone. First off, we can see the market has been dropping here, and we can mark this across, and we just about closed it. So just about close there for market structure break. What that means, we have a swing high here that we need to see broken. Okay, so we need to see that broken for a shift in market structure. So let's just go forward and let's just go forward one candle. Okay, so we wicked up. We haven't quite closed it. Now, understanding what we went through on a previous video with that pre-imbalance zone, we know we have an imbalance zone that we can mark off here in the market. What can we see here? We can see that pull back into the zone for continuation higher. So let's go forward one candle. Okay, so we've just about held at that zone high. We haven't pulled back in. We have a valid breaker structure. That means we then have really an area of demand created here that we can mark out as a 4-hour demand zone. Now, understanding the imbalance, we'll leave this where it is, but we could also then refine this to this as our leftover zone. So that's our current zone of imbalance left over. We can pull back into that next. So we've pulled back in side here. This is where we can start to look for those potential trades. So now we need to look at price action here to the left. This last move down is where the market's going to want to pull back and go up to. We're going to be filling out these areas of imbalances. So the easiest way for me to demonstrate that quickly is that we had an imbalance level zone here. We got closed through. That identifies we will go for the next imbalance zone, which is this zone left over on this candlestick. And remember, in the previous video we went through how you could actually quickly identify those imbalanced candles using that indicator I showed you in that previous video. Now, I personally don't need to use it because I can see them very, very quickly, these zones, just by looking at the actual candlestick on the chart. You will eventually do that as well, but you can use that indicator to help fast forward. Now, if you haven't seen that video in the series, you've come into this video halfway through, I do suggest going through the full playlist because it's going to help you to really understand imbalances. So here we're looking for potential pullback continuation. So on the lower time frames, you'll be looking for that market structure shift to look for potential buys. We continue to pull down. Okay, let's go for next candle. Wait for that to close. Now we've gone to the 50%. Okay, we went through in those previous videos. We're looking at the high, the 50%, the low of those zones. Okay, so we've held the 50%. That is going to be a sign of that rejection. We will go higher from here, and we will look for those lower time frame entries. Now, your first target on the lower time frames, understanding the market structure, would be this high here in the market. And then we'll be looking for to fill this imbalance, potentially going for this high up here. Because once we close this imbalance, we're going to go for this swing high. So we can mark out where the market's going to go ahead of time using imbalances. Okay, I'm going to quickly just mark it out on my chart. You can see where I've got price marked. Okay, so this means this swing high. So that are my levels where I know price is going to want to go. Okay, so we go forward to the candle. So we can see that's going to close a bullish candle, big rejection, but we have rejected off these lows here in the market. So we are expecting from this low here, continuation higher. So we go forward again. Okay, wait for that candle to close, and we've got a break of structure. Hey traders, we'll get back to the video in just a moment, but I wanted to share some amazing news with you today. I want to tell you about the release of the upcoming trading coaching experience. If you're struggling with market structure, watching every video here on YouTube, but you still just can't grasp the concept, then discover the breakthrough insights that simplifies market structures. This trading coaching experience will give you the support network and accountability you need to become a profitable trader. Just like Solomon here, who recently acquired his funded trading account after joining. But it's more than just a community. You'll have access to the NFXT service where you'll optimize your path to consistent profitability and save time engaging in thorough technical analysis. The programs with a carefully crafted plan to assist you in creating a thriving trading business, outlined in a step-by-step format without any filler or fluff, plus an avalanche of bonuses to enhance your learning and experience. I'm also doing something never heard of before. It's going to be the members reward scheme, free giveaways within the community. Every member gets entered for free into any free giveaways with up to £10,000 worth of giveaways. Here's the kicker. Only 155 spots are available for this exclusive opportunity. And once full, access will close, so act fast before they're gone. So just hit the link above now to find out more on this opportunity. Now back to the video. So like I said, we would go for this level first. This now creates a break of structure, so it does create a potential area here of demand. Now it's an area of demand with this current trend. Okay, so we can now identify the market's gone from a bearish broke out, pullback, continuation, looking for pullback, continuation. That's what we class as internal structure. Now that internal structure is pulling back on that swing move here. Again, like I said, market structure, play this, go through those. It's going to help you to understand it. So with understanding those candlesticks again, what do we have on this candle? We have a potential pre-imbalance zone. We're going to mark it obviously from here. That's our current zone. We're going to look for pullback. Okay. Now I did mark the full candle last time. I should have marked it from the high of that candle as that pre-imbalance zone. That's our leftover zone. Now we do have a new leftover zone here. We'll draw. We can draw it here after the markets come back in. Okay. So we know that this is a leftover zone. At some point, the markets kind of come back to fill that zone. So we've got to keep an eye on that. Now we could see here a full rejection, okay, of this high, continuation up, breaking this structure high. We have a full market structure swing shift. At the moment, we have a potential pullback. Okay, internal structure is pulling back. So potentially we can look for pullback now into this zone, continuation for this level. Now, we know ahead of time where the market's going to go. If you're following the wrong type of strategies, not knowing where the market's going to go ahead of time, this is when you're going to have losing trades. Okay, so we'll go forward again with another candle. So we have a pullback into this zone, a very small pullback there on that candle, and we continue up for that level. So now we have a leftover zone that we draw out. Now we continue higher. Okay, so now we've gone through this level and we've closed it. That means we removed this level. We'll have to go for this swing high next. Now, obviously, we can have a pullback. We've got an area of demand here, an area of imbalance that needs to be filled yet. Let's go forward. So we've got a candle pulling back. And we did have here Okay, I just noticed that we did have this area of imbalance left over. Now this was originally this candlestick. We have currently held at it and we've pushed back up. So that shows a reversal to go higher for this high. Now we could still push lower. Let's just go forward. Okay, so that's a big push down, removing that imbalance, which suggests we will go for this zone. So we've now filled this zone fully, and we've just tagged, okay, that area here of demand. That area of demand is at last sell to buy mode. Now again, if you want to learn more on supply and demand, there is the playlist goes through the supply and demand videos as well. So we're not really talking about supply and demand. It's all about these imbalances and direction. So from here, we can look for the lower time frame entries once again. And again, I'll do future videos using this with the lower time frames. We'll continue forward. So market continues to bounce off this area of demand. And we're now looking for continuation to go higher for this high. Now we knew ahead of time the market would go for this high. Now, obviously, understanding a potential break of structure, we're looking to take out this high next. Let's just see if we go deep in this demand. So we got bullish candle and indecision. And see how this closes. There's a bearish candle, bullish candle, and we've dropped deeper into the area of imbalance. Now remember, this imbalance hasn't yet been removed, so we can leave it on the chart until it's closed through. It's not removed. And looks like we've got a bullish response with a higher low, okay, off this move here. Now we're looking for this high to be taken. Inside candle, small indecision. Okay, waiting for the close. We've had a rejection of the low of this candle, pushed down. We could see this high go. Okay, so there we have it with a break structure. So we read the market head. Now what we've got a reversal, okay, making a higher high, higher low situation here, breaking up. Right, so we're now looking for the market to take out this swing high. Now, potentially here, once we see a swing high like this taken, we're potentially going to see a pullback. Now, as we do have this all now fill this imbalance, we have no more imbalances except for this one. That does suggest that we could come all the way back for this area of imbalance and then look for another swing. So this would then be a full swing pullback continuation back into this area we see above. Now, price will never move in one single direction. Continuation. It will always make these pullbacks. For us to get up into this area here of supply, okay, this area of supply, an area of imbalance, we've got to see those swings continuation to the upside for this to happen. Let's just follow price here. We know we're bullish, okay, but we could have a full swing pullback coming into this leftover imbalance. That's how we understand this. Okay, reading the market with these levels on the chart, these imbalance zones, supply and demand, all of this is already inside the channel for you to understand. There's a playlist, go through the homepage, through every single playlist, understand each concept separately. You can then start putting them all together. So we're going to look to run this high next. Let's see if we go for the high. There we go. We run the high, okay? Now, once we run this high, if we see a reversal candle straight away here, and we could just fill this imbalance first, then we could see a pullback. Let's go another candle. Okay, so we've filled and we actually closed through that imbalance. So we've taken out this high. We've now taken out that imbalance. That suggests the next level we've got to go for is this swing high. That is where I'm going to see the market want to run. But we could have a pullback first before this. So this area of imbalance we're going to remove because it's been used. We've got to break a structure here. So once again, we can draw this out as an area of demand. So as internal structure here, we're going bullish still. And market has area of demand. We could come back to demand and continue higher. Now on the way up here, we did have those pre-imbalance zones that we want to draw out. We had an area here in the market, but the market's come back, held at the 50%, continued higher. We had a new zone here we would have marked. We can see again, the market came back to the 50% and continued higher. And once again, we have a new zone here of that pre-imbalance. So what happens if we reverse through this pre-imbalance? We will continue to be bearish. But for now, we're bullish. Now we do have here a leftover area of imbalance just above that area of demand. And very often you will see this on your charts. The market's going to want to come back to fill those areas of imbalance into demand, continue higher. Let's just go forward. Okay, so we've got a small continuation candle. We failed to break the high, pull back into the area of imbalance. Let's see if we can continue higher. Okay, bearish candle. Bearish candle, we could still bounce off. Now, this has rejected this area of pre-imbalance, you can see. We need to close through to confirm the continuation down. Okay, so we've now closed through this pre-imbalance. That's been removed. We've pulled back into this imbalance, filled the full imbalance. Now, obviously, this was this leftover imbalance there. We've filled it. But as we already closed through this imbalance, I would still want to see the market continue down here. So what we can start to do, we can start to look for the lower time frame shorts from here. Now we have this leftover zone. You can see the market just pushed up into and we dropped out. And again, we'd have the same with this zone here, leftover zone. So for me, this has been filled, this imbalance. I expect it to be run to go to this area. That's where I want to see the market. But I'll be looking for those counter trend trades on a lower time frame here to pull back to this higher time frame area of demand here. Oh, sorry, for the 4-hour demand we're looking at now. So we didn't get a pullback. We got a test of that zone and a continuation down. Again, we'd have a new pre-imbalance left over here. So we're still creating these imbalance zones to the downside, would suggest we could run this area of imbalance and even remove this demand right now. We're seeing a strong push down, removing all of these imbalances. If we close this imbalance and we close through, we was probably going to take out this area of demand. So see, we've pushed back up. We've held at the high of this imbalance. Again, we've wicked through and we've closed this imbalance. That suggests a potential reversal back higher. But remember, we've still got these imbalances above. We just filled it. We need to see a rejection out if we're going to continue lower. If not, we close this imbalance. We'll then go for the next one and we'll continue on to this swing high. Now, obviously, for another break of structure, we've got to see this high removed. Now we've got a rejection. We're holding at that imbalance and we rejected out with a bearish candle. So we're looking for potential continuation. It's holding at that area and the market has continued. And again, we had a pre-imbalance there. Remember those pre-imbalances, they are so critical to understand. Look at how the market came back to the full fill and then we dropped away. Using those pre-imbalance zones is going to get you into trades that you never would have seen before. Now, long term, we're bearish, but short term, we've been bullish with this internal structure pulling back to these areas. But now, within the lower time frames, we're counter trend trading back to the downside. So what's next? If we go through and we've sold from up here, we're going to be targeting this area of imbalance because the main reason is we can still see a bounce off here. We've only filled that imbalance. We haven't closed through. So if we close through this imbalance into demand, we'll take the low of the demand. That's where I expect price to want to go. Okay, so we've closed that imbalance. That's been removed. That means now I expect price to want to run this low. So the reason we're going to run this low because we have no areas. Before we're going to take this low here as well. That's a potential area we're going to run. But I would expect it to run this swing low. We then have this demand below. So we have no areas of imbalance there. So again, expected to run this low of this demand zone. I'm going to just bring this back. It's not a demand zone. I'm going to take a buy off because we're removing this one. But it's an area we can watch. We have this leftover imbalance. So it's now looking more like a swing pullback. So looking more like we could see this full swing pullback towards the imbalance now for continuation of that high. Now, why are we coming back to this imbalance? It is the origin, okay? The origin of the move. We come from this low. This is our origin move to the upside. It's the first imbalance created where we see the market breaking structure. That is the important part you need to always remember. Where is that origin move? This is just internal structure at the moment. Okay, and now we're breaking back to the downside until we get to this area. Then we can see a shift back out, who's probably taking this high. That's our next high in the sequence. Obviously, we're going to have some zones on the way back here to target first, but that's the original high we want to see go for. So let's just see if we continue down to run this area of demand. I'm going to bring this demand zone back to here where we see the first reaction pushing deeper in. Now on the way down, remember, we've created this new area of pre-imbalance. Where's the market just pulled back into that area of imbalance? So we should expect a continuation for this low. A small movement. We've got to pull back So we potentially could get a deeper pullback here. So we've got to sweep now this high and this high deeper into this imbalance. Now, if you're just using the imbalance zone after this candle's close, yes, we've just swept the high of that candle. We just went high into that imbalance. But if you're using the pre-imbalance zone, you know that this is still coming back into this imbalance. What's there? You don't need to wait for that candle to close or went through in the previous videos. Use that pre-imbalance. So now expect this low to be taken. This is going to be the first low the market will want to take. But then we're definitely going to take this low because this is our origin low for this move up. So it looks like one candle has taken this low. We've closed it and we just wicked through. So we could see a bounce off here, understanding that we have leftover imbalance sitting here in the market. This one has been filled. Okay, this one is a leftover imbalance that we can leave, and this one got filled as well. So we can remove those zones. So this is created in itself. We've created that pre-imbalance, a very small zone here. So again, look, we see a reversal of this level. We know we're going to go higher. That's the way we can read the market. So we closed, but we held at that pre-imbalance, and that we continue to be bearish. Let's see if we can break this low now. Market is just, and we've broken out that low. Okay, so this is what we're expecting. This pre-imbalance held price, we never closed it, and we continue to run this low. We may have had a very small pre-imbalance there which held as well before that pushed down. Again, look, we've now created a new pre-imbalance to the downside. Okay, how easy is this for you to understand? So where are we going now? We're going for this area. That's the only place we can go because there's nothing in here. This demand has already been used. We're going to take out the low of demand. Okay, this, let me just check. We've got a swing pullback. Okay, we're below the 50% area, going down here, perfect area for trade. Could we run through? Yes, of course. We could continue with that trend. We could see this as a move down, pullback, continuation. But what do we need to see for that? This imbalance is going to have to be closed. Let's go forward. Let's stop it there. Okay, so we held at this imbalance again. The pre-imbalance was never taken. Now, if you didn't have that pre-imbalance, you would have just marked out that as a zone. Okay, we wicked through, we held, and we continued to drop lower. So it looks like we're going to take out this low now. Let's just go forward. We've got no zone. We can remove this now. You don't need this on the chart or this one. They've been filled. Okay, so let's go forward. So we have just wicked up. The market is just broken out there to the upside. This means we may want to run to this area of imbalance that we've got drawn. So we could potentially run up here to take out this swing high into the imbalance and then continue through, or we could pull back. I still really want to see the market pull back there. This area of demand on its own, I don't see this as a good zone to take a trade. We have nothing here that we've pushed into an area of liquidity. This is more the liquidity low into this zone of demand or this area of imbalance. I mean, this is our sell to buy move on this 4-hour time frame. Let's see if we can actually, let's pull this area of demand across. Let's see if we can reverse back down. If we continue bullish, okay, remember we've got here again a new area of bullish imbalance. So what do we need to see for a continuation higher is to hold at the open, the 50% low of this zone. If we close through that zone on the next candle, that means we're going to go down to take out these lows into this area of imbalance. Simple as that. Okay, wait for the close. Right, we've closed through. That's been removed. We now know we're going to continue lower. That candle has shown us the direction. So yes, we could have looked for some trades up here, but it's better to now look for a pullback in here somewhere to continue for that low. So we've got a small pullback and we got another pullback. So in here, we can be looking for those areas. Now, what could we do now? We could actually now look to take out this high, sweep it and drop. Let's see. Looks like we're going to continue to move lower. So now we've built up some liquidity here as well to be swept. And if you look at what's just happened at the lows, we've just swept that low here. So that means we have to go up higher for an area of imbalance or a swing high. Why? Because that's where the liquidity will sit. because the orders are sitting above those highs and inside the areas of imbalance. The imbalance will have leftover orders. That's what we're looking at here. Let's see what happens in the next candle. Let's just go forward. I want to teach you this step by step. Okay, so we're looking for this high here to get swept before we go for the lows, and there we have a sweep of the high. At the same time, we've come into that area of imbalance. Okay, we could go deeper yet into the area of demand as well. Now, potentially this is looking at as a swing pullback. For a reversal, what we've got to see now is a reversal of this high, unless we close through here, which we did. So we could potentially say this is now our lower high. That would be our market structure shift. So let's see what happens on this next candle. And we've closed through. So this is a close through. What that now creates for me is a new area of demand that we could draw here. Now we could draw the demand zone when we've drawn it from the body, okay, the open, or from the high of the zone. I'm going to draw it from the body because we're right close to that high of the zone. And potentially here, what we're looking for then would be a pullback, okay, and then continue up for the area of imbalance. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to actually remove this imbalance. I'm going to put a simple line like we have above, and we just pop another line over here. I think that one's been filled, so it's just this one up here. So we've got two areas we're going to expect the market one to go if we continue to break higher. We broke structure, so now expect a pullback and continuation. Now we're going to pull back into demand here. Why? Because we have no imbalance. The only thing we do have here is this pre-imbalance zone on this candlestick. Very, very small. I expect it to push through back into that demand. That means we could go lower still. Let's just see where the next candle goes. Okay, so we're held bullish. And we've not quite pushed through that high. And we're now pushing through the low. So we've now removed that pre-imbalance. So we're expecting to see, okay, this is not actually a break of structure now. This is going to be our break of structure. Because the reason why is because this is not a swing high. Okay, this is our swing high. It's been broken now. This was the originally going to be swing high. If we had a lower high, that didn't happen. I should have really gone through that and explained it. But this is our swing high for the breakout. So now we can see a potential pullback. It is looking like we're going to have closed through this area of imbalance. Not quite. So if we wick through and pull back up, that's going to look better for an entry. So we've actually done that. That is perfect. That's what I'll be looking for the entry. That candlestick on its own, I would actually look to buy from. It's showing me the reaction out, and I know the market's going to want to go here first. After that, we know it's going to go up to here. After that, we're going to take out the high. So let's just follow price. Let's go candle here. So we've pushed back down, not quite stopped me out because I had a bit of room on that stop. And we're held. We can still sweep that low again. And we don't have any pre-imbalance there. So we're still expecting this high now to be run. This becomes our new structure break to the upside. We could be stopped out here. It's holding. And now it's gone higher back to price, and we've broken structure. So that's worked out. We just held into that trade. Didn't quite get stopped out. Always important to give trades room if you're taking a trade. So now expecting price to go what? Well, we've broken structure. We're definitely going to go to fill this imbalance. Now we do have now here a leftover area of demand that we can draw here. It's a new area of demand. We also have that we have this pre-imbalance zone here, which price held at the top of the zone. And then we can also draw out this new pre-imbalance zone here. I'm going to just remove this. We don't need this on here. You can see how the trade would have worked. Let me just remove that. I'm going to have to put on that demand zone once again. I just removed it accidentally. That's why it's important, okay? Always make sure you've got some room on your stops. We only just swept that low. And if you had a really tight stop there, you would have been stopped out. So we can see we're stacking on demand zones here, continue higher. Does mean that I believe we will go for this high. Let's read what's happening. First, we've got to go for this level and close through. But we're going to pull back perhaps into this area of pre-imbalance. We've created leftover imbalance there now anyway. We've pulled back into that imbalance and we've just closed that level. That now means we will go up for this level next. We could pull back first because we still potentially could pull back to fill this imbalance into this area imbalance in demand. Let's just see. So we got a reversal candle. We're pulling back. We've just tested the 50% of that pre-imbalance zone, and this would be the leftover imbalance, nearly the 50% as well. Let's see if we continue to bullish. So if we continue up there, there's going to be a break of structure. Okay, so we've actually pushed back lower. Let's see where we go to. So we remove this old imbalance left over here. That means we'll go for the next imbalance, which is this imbalance here. That's our leftover. We've just about filled that imbalance. We're pulled into the demand zone. So what I'm seeing here, okay, we're seeing the market pushing down, pushing lower, break of structure. This is what we class as a market structure shift. This is our internal structure, okay? We've pushed down from this high. Let me just get this again. We've pushed down from this high, pull back. We've not really created a structure shift there. There might have been a very small one just there. And then you can see the markets pull back, broke out. And this is where we can go with the structure. And again, all of that, like I said, is inside that market structure playlist within the channel. So right now we've filled this imbalance to the 50% area. We could go deeper. If we close through this imbalance, suggest we'll take out and remove this area of demand. Let's just see what happens. Okay, very close at closing through. We'll hold at it, and we've held still at that area of imbalance. It's very, very important to make sure it's in the right place. Look, we're holding there. This indicates another buy. I would look to buy off here. We swept the lows, closed bullish. This is an indication we will go higher. That means we're going to have to first go to within this swing. Okay, we have an area of imbalance left over, another area of imbalance here left over, and a final imbalance here left over. So we've got to run through these zones now before we can see it. Remember, this was a pre-imbalance zone. Market held at it and pushed lower. So we want to see a bullish move higher. Okay, so there's a strong bullish move here. Okay, so we've wicked through, held at this imbalance. At the moment, there is no sign that we could continue higher until we close this imbalance. We just left a small pre-imbalance there as well. If we hold and push higher, that's good. Okay, so we held, we pushed higher, wicked through that imbalance. There's a full fill already of these imbalances. We want to see it close through. Okay, that's what we're looking for. If we don't get that closed through, this could push prices back down lower. So let's continue to see what happens. We're pushing lower here. Now, if we close through this imbalance here, that means we continue to remove the demand. Is this a close through? Closed at it, and we've closed through. Oh, no, we haven't. We've actually just closed at it. So we had to wait for that candle to close. So now we've just, okay, look what's just happened here. We've just wicked the low. So what we've actually got, we've removed the demand. And this is something else that you'll learn in the channel. We're understanding the sweeps in the market, liquidity sweeps. Okay, so we have a sweep here in the market. This is a 4-hour sweep. So we've swept this. This is a very, very good indication for me that this is going to be a bullish move. Where am I going to expect the market to go? Well, at least first target would be to fill this imbalance. The reason being, these have already been filled. They haven't been closed through, but they've been filled. So that would be my first potential target. Then I expect the market to go here at least after that. Let's just go forward price. Okay, so the very next candle, where did it go straight to fill that imbalance? We knew it'd go through and close through these areas because they already had been filled. And they did close through. We should see a continuation higher. Let's just pause it in a moment. Let me just go through. We're going to have a new break of structure here. We've only swept that area at the moment. We need to see it close through. Let's see if we can get that closed through. And we've closed through right there. So now we've closed through again. That creates a new area of demand that we can draw here. That's our 4-hour area of demand. And we're also going to have, which we didn't really get a chance to draw there, so I forgot, was the pre-imbalance. We came back, we held at the 50%, and we continue to go. Okay, and now we've left over that area of imbalance. So I'm going to remove this again because we don't need it, but we expect price to go for this level. Why? Because we've broken through that structure. We could pull back to this imbalance, more likely to continue higher for that next level we've got marked. And remember, long term, we're still expecting price to go for this level here. That's where we want to see that market go to. So look, this is how you're reading and understanding the imbalances with the breaker structure. I've gone through much more in this video than I needed to, but you can start to really get the grasp of what's happening. Let's just see if we can get to these levels, and then you'll understand exactly why ahead of time we could understand where the market is going to go. Let's just fast forward this a bit. Let's just actually go. Okay, so we went straight up, okay, straight away to this level where I have it marked. Now, I'm marking these ahead of time before we even see price get to them. That is the skill of reading not just imbalances in the market structure, supply and demand, liquidity. We've closed that level. That means we will go to take out this high next and go for the next level. So on the way up, okay, as I let it go quite quickly here, we did have this pre-imbalance zone, which is now been left over as an area of imbalance. We also had another breaker structure here. Okay, this is our last sell to buy move. This is a new area of demand. So we can not always going to come back to these demand zones. Okay, we didn't come back into this demand zone quite. We nearly came back to demand. We held at the imbalance. So let's see if the market now pulls back into the area. Okay, so we didn't need to. We just held and we pushed through. Okay, so we removed that and went for what? The next level here, where we said all the way back from here, we knew the market potentially would take that high. So now what we can identify here is that the market has made this swing pattern, like I suggested. And now we're either going to hold this area and fall back down, or we can break through. So what's the important thing? This area left over imbalance. If we continue to push up and close through, we'll remove that high. Let's just go forward. Okay, we're having a pull back here. Why are we pulling back? We're going to break a structure that we can mark right here again. Okay, that did leave. This is an area of demand as well. Didn't draw that out. Okay, so we have an area of imbalance. Now we also have, we go closer in, just reading that price quickly. Okay, we had the pre-imbalance area here. We pulled back in, held, continued higher. We then had the same thing here. Okay, but we closed through. That indicated a pullback. Okay, we would go backwards to the next area of imbalance. Currently, we're holding at that imbalance. If we closed through, we continue for the next one. Simple as that. So let's see, we're not quite closed. We're holding. Now it looks like we've closed through. So now we've closed through that imbalance, and this one, we're inside this imbalance. Now we could go a full fill into the demand below here. Let's just see, let's go forward. And again, that we have imbalances on the way down again. Pre-imbalances. Look at how the market holds those areas. Let's fast forward this a bit. So the market has now a full fill of this imbalance. What happens if we close through? Then potentially we're going to go down to take out what? This swing low, which is this low here in the market. Now we could take out that low, drop into the demand here, and then continue higher, but we've also got a leftover imbalance sitting here. The market may want to go down to take out that swing low. Why? Because this is potentially an origin move. Okay, so like we saw over here, this was an origin move that broke to the upside from here. This becomes an origin move down here because we broke this structure high. So the actual origin move is here, but our nearest imbalance is here. So potentially we may want to push down, sweep this low into this imbalance, this in demand for another move higher. That's our swinging pattern. Now, how do we know this is going to reverse? Because we look for what we class as our internal structure to shift, and we can use multiple time frames for that. Again, there's a multiple time frames video within that market structure videos. So let's just go through it quickly and see what happens here. Let's just play it now, see what happens. So again, we can identify that the market closed through that imbalance on that candlestick that indicated we would take out this low. The market failed to run the low, but we knew it would take it. We've then pushed higher. We've swept this high. So we've gone through, made a 4-hour sweep. Okay, we're in a bearish bias at the moment. We continue to break structure lower. We broke structure lower, broke structure lower. We already broke this structure here. So let me just quickly show you this. Okay, so we broke structure, we broke lower, we broke lower. That we're creating a bearish trend. We just swept that high and we broke structure lower again. So we're still bearish on this market. So we removed this area of demand. We close through this level. That suggests we will sweep this low here into the imbalance. That's what we want to see holding. We want to see this area of demand here holding and push through into it. Now again, look, what do we have here? A pre-imbalance zone. Price held at it. Yeah, we did big push through to sweep that high, but we held. And we then had this pre-imbalance and the current pre-imbalance. Let's just go forward quickly. Okay, so we've actually pushed through this imbalance. Held at this one of the 50%, pushed through this imbalance. What does that indicate? We're most likely to run the low of this zone. So this zone is not likely to hold. The imbalance was closed through. This one's removed. Okay, we're coming back to what now? We're coming back to the origin move. So potentially we could sweep this low deeper into this demand zone to continue higher. Let's have a look. And again, market structure here has been bearish. So we've held at this candlestick. Very interesting that was. So we actually held here. And how did we recognize the reversal? We had a pre-imbalance zone here, okay, which held. We then left over this imbalance. This candlestick identified the reversal. We also broke this structure. Why? Because there's a structure break here to downside. This small structure break is our internal structure. We've shifted bullish. We have a pre-imbalance zone here, which held price. Okay, this is how you'll do this over and over on your charts. We have this area of demand left over. Okay, now we're looking for what? The market to run this. So look, understanding that this was the area we expect price to pull back into, we could have got a short from here down. Okay, understanding the levels you are targeting. Now, I'm not talking long term. On the lower time frames, you will find good risk to reward trades. But now we expect this area to be run because we're creating a higher swing low. And we could even look, draw out this as a trend line. And we can see that the trend line is being respected. And we expect to see these wicks and manipulations through those areas. But understanding imbalances, which this video should really be about, we are now bullish. We understand that these pre-imbalances are holding. And we're removing these imbalances left over. So these are all being removed. So where does price want to go now? We know it's going to run this high next. Okay, after that, we look for a level. That's where the price will go before we take out that high and continue higher. So that's where you're going to look for the market. Okay, so we take out that high expected. Okay, now we've broken this structure. We did make this pullback on one candle, but then we've broken this structure again with this smaller structure break, as well as taking this high. So that then creates basically on the way up. What is this? Pre-imbalance zone. Price held at the 50%, continued higher. We also have a area here, which is more of a rally-based rally area of demand. Let's just play this forward. Okay, so we held at the imbalance zone once again. And we also had this pre-imbalance zone where price held, or did it just close? Just check that. No, we did close that zone. So that's why we had to go lower into this zone here again for some more orders. Now the market's broken structure again. And at the same time, closed through this imbalance, which suggested we would take out this high. Now we've just wicked into the high. At the same time, what do we leave? A new pre-imbalance zone. Are you seeing the way the cycle works? We also leave this area of demand. So we look for pullbacks into these areas. So it's quite a deep pullback. We've closed through. No, we're still quite just closed at. Okay, now we have closed through, removed it. So because we removed that, we knew we'd have to go for the next area of imbalance, which is below, and we knew we'd run the demand. We'd run this low. This low actually got broken through. That was a shift in structure, okay, from this swing high. But then we've just dropped into this demand here. At this point, I would have been looking for sells. Yes, for sure. Potentially see the market go lower off this pre-imbalance. But this candle puts us back on a bullish bias. And look at that strong momentum push higher. So now we've broken out of this structure. Again, we've left a new pre-imbalance to look for buy from, and we've left a new area of potential demand. Okay, remember, this is not really about the demand zones and everything. It's more about those imbalances, but I just want to show you at the same time. Now we're expecting the full fill of this imbalance. Look, we need to see a close of that imbalance to know this high is going to be rung, and we're going to continue to be bullish. Very bullish on this market. So let's look for the next candle. We close it, we closed it. So now we're going to run this high. From all the way back here, when we're looking at price action, we knew and determined that this was a potential sell area. Coming out, we did sell down, but then we continued to be bullish from this move here. So now we should see that high get run. So see, and we get run. And of course, if you want to learn more on the NFXT Pro community, there'll be a link popping up in a moment. And also make sure you go and watch the next video, which goes through to more imbalanced trading.